Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. We've got a massive shift in science to talk about today. We're going to explore how machine learning is completely transforming chemistry. I mean, for centuries, right? Chemistry has fundamentally been this slow, painstaking science of trial and error. You mix things, you wait, you see what happens. But today, as you'll see from the material we're covering, it's rapidly becoming a high-speed, data-driven discipline. By using artificial intelligence, we are literally building the lab of the future. Okay, let's dive into this with a massive question. What if we could predict the next life-saving drug without ever actually picking up a test tube? What if we didn't have to guess anymore? Imagine knowing exactly how a molecule is going to behave, how we'll interact and perform, way before we ever physically synthesize it. That is the exact promise of machine learning and chemistry, and the stakes here are incredible. It's reshaping everything from medicine to the materials that literally power our world. So here's our roadmap for today's Explainer, just so you know exactly how we're traveling from basic data models all the way to fully robotic self-driving labs. We'll start with the data revolution, then we'll look at predicting properties, modern drug discovery, reactions and materials, autonomous labs, and finally, future frontiers. All right, part one, the data-driven chemistry revolution. We are officially shifting from a purely experimental science to a highly predictive one. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer contrast between the old way and the new way. Traditional chemistry relies heavily on physical trial and error, really costly animal testing, and timelines that can easily stretch 10 to 15 agonizing years just to bring a single product to life. AI chemistry? It flips that entire model on its head. We're talking about predictive models and digital screening that take what used to be a decade of hazardous physical labor and compress it down into hours or maybe a few days. We're saving time, we're massively reducing costs, and we're vastly minimizing chemical waste. Moving right along to Section 2, Predicting Properties with AI. How do chemists actually use AI to answer fundamental questions about a molecule before ever stepping foot in a lab? Well, to understand how we actually make these digital predictions, we have to talk about QSAR. That stands for Quantitative Structure-Activity Relationship. It's actually one of the oldest, yet absolutely most successful AI applications in all of chemistry. The central idea here is wonderfully elegant. A molecule's structure directly determines its physical properties and biological activity. Basically, if you learn the relationships from known molecules, like if similar molecules have similar structures, they're incredibly likely to exhibit the very same physical properties and biological behaviors. Let's move to and see how this builds into a real workflow. How do we actually put QSAR to use? It's basically a 6-step process. First up, collect known molecular structures. Second, calculate descriptors. These are inputs, things like a molecule's weight, its log P, maybe its polar surface area. Third, you prepare the activity data, like, is this compound known to be antibacterial, anti-cancer? Fourth, you train the machine learning models to find those hidden patterns linking the structures to the activities. Fifth, validate those predictions to make sure they're actually accurate. And finally, step 6, the fun part, you screen completely new, untested compounds to predict exactly how they're going to behave. Now, you might be wondering, why does property prediction matter so much? Because the real-world stakes are absolutely enormous. Take solubility, for example. Lots of really promising drug candidates fail simply because they won't dissolve properly in water. Predicting this early prevents massively costly dead ends. Then there's toxicity. By using AI to predict acute or chronic toxicity early on, we save billions of dollars, we avoid catastrophic ecosystem damage, and we dramatically reduce the need for animal testing. And on the industrial side, knowing boiling and melting points before you ever start synthesizing is absolutely crucial for safe, efficient process design. Let's pivot a bit here for Section 3, Accelerating Modern Drug Discovery. This is easily one of the most exciting, life-saving applications of artificial intelligence today. Just look at this time frame, 10 to 15 years. It's staggering. That is the traditional, agonizingly slow time frame it takes to develop a single new drug and actually get it to the public. It's a pipeline that costs billions of dollars. But AI is now actively shrinking this monumental burden. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how AI steps in at nearly every single stage of the pipeline to act as an incredible accelerant. For target identification, finding the specific proteins involved in a disease, traditional methods rely on this slow, manual biological research. AI, it just analyzes massive biological data sets to spot targets human researchers might completely miss. Then for hit discovery, instead of slow physical lab screening, AI virtually screens millions of compounds. And during lead optimization, where we're trying to improve a drug's potency and safety, AI automatically recommends the exact structural modifications we need. It completely replaces those endless trial and error tweaks. The sheer scale of this impact is most obvious when we look at screening. Traditional physical screening might involve expensively and painstakingly testing, say, 10,000 physical compounds in a lab. But with AI-based virtual screening, we can evaluate literally millions of molecules digitally and do it in a matter of hours or days. We use structure-based screening to look at protein-binding sites or ligand-based screening to find compounds similar to known active molecules. Either way, this digital evaluation is dramatically accelerating how quickly we find the medicines of tomorrow. All right, shifting focus from discovering single molecules to actually creating them. Section 4, designing reactions and materials. What product will actually form under these specific conditions? Honestly, this is one of the most challenging, fundamental questions a chemist faces standing at the lab bench. It's not always obvious. But today, AI models actually learn from vast databases of past reactants, catalysts, solvents, and temperatures to give us the answer before we even mix the first two drops. Because of machine learning, AI reaction capabilities have just expanded wildly. AI can now foresee final product outcomes. It can predict the yield, basically estimating how efficient a reaction is going to be. It optimizes conditions, suggesting the ideal temperature or pressure, and it is brilliant at catalyst discovery, predicting which catalysts are going to be the most active and stable. I mean, this level of optimization is completely revolutionizing everything, from petrochemicals to green chemistry, where AI is stepping in to identify eco-friendly solvents and minimize waste. And one of the absolute most fascinating capabilities here is retrosynthesis. Think of it like a giant puzzle. Imagine you have this complex target molecule you want to build, but you have zero idea how to actually make it. Retrosynthesis is working backward. Traditionally, this relied solely on extreme human expertise. You just had to know. But today, AI analyzes millions of known chemical reactions to automatically design the most efficient synthetic pathway. It literally does the heavy lifting of figuring out the recipe entirely from scratch. And the amazing thing is, we're applying these AI recipes far beyond just drugs, expanding deep into materials science. AI is currently predicting energy density and lifespans to give us way better batteries. It's identifying high-efficiency, low-cost materials for the next generation of solar cells. It's even helping us design nanomaterials like nanotubes and quantum dots. This AI-driven material discovery is an absolutely vital tool in creating sustainable green chemistry that reduces pollution and lowers carbon emissions to help combat climate change. Which brings us to the climax of today's explainer, Section 5, the rise of autonomous labs. This concept is totally mind-bending. We are literally talking about self-driving laboratories. Here's how this continuous workflow functions. First, the AI designs an experiment based on what it wants to learn. Second, actual robots perform the chemistry. They mix, they heat, they measure. Third, sensors collect the data automatically. Fourth, the AI analyzes those results on the fly. And fifth, based on that analysis, the AI automatically plans the next round of experiments. It is a tireless, 24/7 loop of rapid discovery. We are merging robotics, sensors, and machine learning into a single automated organism. All right, let's bring it back down to earth for a second. Section 6, challenges and future frontiers. So, the crucial point is that while these successes are super impressive, this tech isn't magic. AI hasn't completely replaced the human element. The accuracy of AI is totally dependent on data quality. If you feed it poor data, you get poor predictions. Simple as that. We also struggle with limited interpretability. A lot of these are black box models that are really hard for scientists to fully explain. Plus, specialized datasets are often incredibly scarce. And ultimately, no matter how good the AI's prediction is, it still requires experimental validation. A human or a robot still has to physically make it in the lab to confirm it actually works. But even with those hurdles, the consensus in the scientific community is loud and clear. The integration of AI and chemistry will be one of the most important scientific developments of the 21st century. This isn't just some marginal improvement, It's a total paradigm shift. We're accelerating global scientific innovation. We're optimizing entire industrial chemical plants, and we're finding solutions to problems that were previously thought absolutely unsolvable. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative thought. As our data grows richer and these robots grow faster, you really have to wonder, will the next great scientific breakthrough, like the cure for a major disease or a material that completely solves the energy crisis, be discovered by a human chemist having a eureka moment,
Or will it be discovered by a tireless AI working at 3 a.m. in a self-driving lab? Think about that as you process the incredible revolution happening right now in chemistry. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, and I'll see you next time.